I just want to say this. There is no substitute for winning. We must win. We will win. Win is the name of the game.
Dallas Cowboys fans, let's get ready to rumble!
We got a job to do, and we're going to do it, baby!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cowboys. It's always 3rd and 7. I am one of your hosts and the ringleader, Jesse Jackson, and joining me, as always, are the boys, CJ,
your boy,
and Colin.
Mr. Bernier,
that's right. All right, so for full disclosure, we met offline. We made sure that Chris had plenty of deodorant on. Colin said, okay, yes. He actually said that Chris smelled nice. Irish Spring Fresh. And so we're all in one room talking. I missed most of the game. Coming home from a family trip, I ended up getting a flat tire. And so I ended up seeing only like the last quarter. So you guys are going to have to do the heavy lifting. Talk about the game with the Bears. Go ahead, Colin.
So, the game was great. I enjoyed it. We had our thoughts on the first half already. But the second half, I thought the defense played great. I think, obviously, the run back by Parsons was huge. Huge for the team, huge for the defense, because the defense was a little bit quiet in the first half. Like I said before, the wide receivers played great. I think the passing game has really come through. And this is the time of the season you want it to. Bye week next week, you got some time to practice and meld together for the second half of the season. But I thought it was a good performance. I thought the Bears played tough, but Cowboys put it all together for the first time this season.
Chris?
It was the return of Dak Prescott. He was way better than he was the last game. Like we talked about at halftime, they scored on their first 4 possessions. And on the first 4 of the last game, like we said in the archives, on last week's show, which you can get in the archives, it was punt, I think, and then an interception. The name of this episode should be either the Tony Pollard show or No More Counters, because it was the TP show. Tony Pollard showed out. He showed us what he could do. He didn't get exposed in pass coverage. He was one of the big standouts for me, was Tony Pollard.
Jerry said, according to the Athletics, Joe Benchada, there's no argument, Jones said after the game. Zeke's ability to punish, Zeke's ability to deliver, Zeke's ability, what he does for us in pass protection, and frankly, Zeke's ability to make big plays are there, and we're going to go as Zeke goes. I mean, he's that integral to our success this year. So first off, why are you saying that, Jerry? Right? Why are you dampening the enthusiasm of TP?
Yeah.
Tony Pollard, doing that. And the reason is because he has a ton of money going to Zeke. When Jerry needs to be quiet, he can't.
So
please, give us your HSO.
Right there, listeners, me getting onto my soapbox. I want to take the microphone because it did kind of sound like he was dampening the TP show. Like, it was all right, more like toilet paper. It is funny how, because when Cooper Rush was doing a good job, he was all about, I would love a controversy. There's nothing wrong with that because we'd be winning. Well, we won in huge part because of Tony Pollard. Okay, well, what about the money that they're paying Zeke? Well, they're also paying way more to Dak Prescott. So I don't know why Zeke always gets that treatment. Maybe he's the best but Prescott's selling jerseys too. Maybe but Zeke held out, because you could say, well, Prescott took him to the cleaners, but Zeke held out, and that's even worse.
Yeah, he was still under contract when that happened. I mean, they still had a chance, and they had to go. Sorry, Colin.
Yeah, Jerry loves to put his foot in his mouth. He loves he loves to make everybody talk, and I think that's part of it too, is having everybody talk about it, because everybody knows the Cowboys are a big deal. So it's going to be on Sports Center. Everybody's going to have thoughts on it, and everybody's going to have thoughts on Jerry. I think part of it is just a way for him to stay relevant as well and stay in people's head.
It can be frustrating at times, and there is, make no mistake, there's a lot good. I think we've talked about this before. Jerry has put together a good organization over the past few years, especially behind the scenes. Will McClay, all the scouts we've had some really good people. Pollard, third or fourth round? And now then he's good. So
the only thing you could think too is that, okay, Zeke was a number 4th overall pick and Prescott was a 4th rounder. I guess if you had to finally find something that connected, but I'm with Colin. Jerry just talks to talk. You don't really listen to what he has to say, or you just would drive yourself insane. Yeah. But my ears did perk up of like, wait, why? I can't figure out why we're dampening TP,
yeah.
But we're hyping up Cooper Rush.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I love it. I think it's great. The team, it is hard to put aside your egos, but if you can put aside your egos and just be happy that your teammate's doing well, you can go far. So 6-2, I was on the record before the season started. I thought they were going to be 7-10. I thought this was going to be a horrible year. Obviously, everything would have to go very badly or else I'm going to be wrong. Chris, let's start with you. How are you feeling? 6-2.
We can
almost halfway through the season, right?
Yes, last year. We were at 6-2 as well. But I'd like to go ahead and kind of go back to the game a little bit more. Sure. We had that Parsons run back. Can you believe the athleticism by Fields to jump over Parsons? And Colin and I are watching the game saying, if his shoelace touches him, I want to know if he was in track and field, because that was like one of the most impressive plays. It just was one of the best plays for us too. And Parsons, I heard later on this week, because during the game I was talking about Parsons looks weird. Like he just looks like he's like doesn't feel good or he's out of it or something like that. And then we saw at the end of the game he was kind of hunched over. Norm made a really good point of, because he's on the defensive line so much, that he's getting double teamed a bunch. And Parsons is a big dude. I don't know how in terms of weight, but most of the time 300 pounders are going to be on the offensive lineman. So you're getting hit from both sides. Now he's getting smarter with his he'll just continue to get better. But I thought that was a really good point. And so, that comes into the bye week. But staying on the defense, Parsons just very, very, very impressive. They made a good point on the ticket. Again, the Chicago Bears ran for 240 yards on the Cowboys defense. So that is, again, I wonder how much we're averaging. Again, it can't be good. We were like 30th or something last week. So that's 240 yards on the ground. Again, somebody on the ticket made a good point. Maybe Parsons, you put him at linebacker because he played linebacker a little bit, because that may help stop the run, because that's its own topic in itself, is how do we get better at the run? Because we got that guy from Oakland. It was his first game. Mm-hmm. He's a big boy, but we just have been very vulnerable to that, and that is just, if we're going to be objective here, that's something that was a big concern.
The run defense definitely looked lackluster, but I was very impressed by the pass defense. There was a couple times people were getting their swats up, getting their hands in on tough balls where, like we said before, in past years you would see that and that's a touchdown, or that's a 60-yard first down on a big third down. Instead, the defense was getting handsy out there and smacking the ball away. But I do want to touch on the offense for a second, because not only complimentary football,
that's what we play,
but also efficient football. And I think we were talking about efficiency last week. Couple numbers. Dak Prescott, 21 for 27. That's pretty efficient football right there. Tony Pollard, 14 carries, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's as efficient as you can get as a running back. His average was 9 yards, 9.4 yards a carry. I mean, when you do that with 14 carries, I think you're going to win a lot of football games.
Yeah, and the backup running back, 34. He had, I think, a good catch. He kind of popped off the screen a little bit more. I think Sean Payton was on some show, The Herd, your boy, and talked about when he was with the Saints, he had Reggie, Deuce. He liked a running back by committee. And so I think there's a lot to be said for Thunder and Lightning, like USC, where you got Zeke and then you got Pollard. You almost, we wonder why, why are the Cowboys, this goes back to that first question, why are the Cowboys so hesitant to use Pollard? Every time you get him the football, he seems to make plays. It's very few and far between that, 1 out of 5, he does a really good job. Pollard's 4 out of 5. He gets a little bit, but no, he's very efficient with that.
And Dak returned to the run game last week, which I hadn't seen in a couple years, really.
Yep, 5 yards, 34 carries.
And 5 carries, 34 yards, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that would have been bad.
So he's just running at every play. But no, he's running. He looked really good in the run game, which I hadn't seen him run the ball very efficiently in years past, the past 2 years at least. And he looked really fluid out there. He looked like he felt a lot better. I saw somebody step on his other hand.
Yeah.
When he was going out, I think you called that at the time.
Yeah, we saw that. You were like, it's not his throwing.
Yeah, I was like, no, it's throwing, no big deal.
He did. He got to the run, and then Schultz had that really big block. We got to give him a shout out because we've been on him about run defense. I'm going to get the Ferguson T-shirt if he keeps making plays. Ferguson, I don't even know his number yet, so we're not there, but Ferguson is becoming my guy. He's done a good job. One thing that I looked up, or I think I heard on the ticket actually, was Tony Pollard. He has 5 touchdown runs of 50 yards or more since 2020. That's 5 since 2020, over 50 yards. So just explosive.
Well, and that's why the commentators always say, he's the home run hitter. I mean, that's the cliche they use. I want to go back to something you guys were talking about, the defense. I think in a lot of ways this is a whack-a-mole. If you move Parsons where he can stop the run, then you're going to leave an opening for the pass. And so I think DC, Dan Campbell, not Dan Campbell, no.
DQ.
Yeah. Make a note, edit out my stupidity, keep in the boys. No, just kidding. Dan Quinn, I think, makes the choice of I'd rather have a better pass rush, I'd rather have the sacks, and then we'll live with if they're gaining yards. Because we're stopping the big play. Now, you wonder, let's see, this team keeps going, and I hate to get ahead of two course, but let's just pretend things roll well, you hit the playoffs, will you need to stop that run? How important is that? I don't know. I read one of the columnists here in the Dallas Morning News was saying that, this really could come down to Christmas Eve on whether we win the division or whether we're a wild card and then have that longer trip. Because the Philly does not look like they're slowing down at all.
That is going to be a heavyweight fight. I cannot wait for that episode, that game. With the offense overall, the Bears cut it to 5. We had a really bad penalty, and then we threw a Tony Romo vintage interception, and they cut it to 5. But just like when Cooper Rush and just like last week, very resilient. When they needed to go ahead and make a play, they went and stomped on the Bears again. Now, Colin pointed this out, and it made me look for things during the game from then on. Fields looked pretty darn good. This is the first time I've really, I don't watch Bears games too much. No. Of course, I knew he could run. That goes without saying because of his stats. I know people around the league will say that they question kind of his passing ability, but he looks like definitely like he didn't look out of place as a quarterback. He had that one sidearm throw that was really, really impressive, and I don't know who was talking about it, but they said kids these days, but quarterbacks kind of now, it is all about the footwork, but Prescott kind of does it too. It's the Mahomes kind of Steph Curry, very wheels off almost, but just try to get it to where it was. And so I thought that sidearm, it looks so natural to do it.
And it looks so unnatural when Dak does it, and that's why he looked so goofy when he threw that horrible pass to Gallup in the back of the end zone where he missed him by 10 yards because he was trying to do like a jump pass, and I don't understand. And then he tried to plant later, and it was way too early.
Way over his head.
It's like, okay. I think, but like I said, those were 2 of the 6 passes that he missed all day. So I'm great with that. I think he played really, really good, and I'm excited for the second half of this season.
Me too. To put a bow on this for the offense, Gallup and CD both were very, very productive. It was Gallup's best game. CD's been quietly productive, but not receiver 1 productive.
No.
I think this was from Norm, but I remembered it. We have not had a 100-yard wide receiver this year. I didn't get a chance to look up what was the highest, but we have not had one 100-yard wide receiver. I think will we make a trade today? There's the trade deadline today. The Eagles have talked about getting Alvin Kamara, which would be cause for us to get on the horn real quick because we may need to sound the alarm. But yeah, we have no. And then the last thing was third down. That was the big key for us going into the game. They were great on third down. I didn't see what the percentage was, but I know for a fact because we were looking for it that they were fantastic. Bad acting. Third down efficiency, 9 of 11. Whew. What quick math is that, right? 80, 90-something%.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to improve their average. So overall, it was a great, great Cowboys Sunday. When you take a step back and you kind of digest it, if you're wanting to get to the playoffs and you look at kind of your bye week, we've talked about certain things. We've got Pollard. We've got Prescott coming back. We've got Tony Pollard becoming a little bit more into the show. Our defense has really carried us. The knock on Prescott, and what I will say as I've digested this and slept on it, is, okay, the Bears just must be not that good. And call me Cowboys CJ, but I've seen this team show out against a really good team. And like, oh, well, we beat the Rams. Doesn't look like the Rams are a good team this year. Oh, well, we beat the Bengals. Doesn't look like they're a good team this year. I mean, they lost on Monday night to the Browns last night. So you still question, like, okay, because if you beat Philly, still it doesn't mean that San Francisco, that's a done deal. That's a division game. We have each other's number. That's a different beast than if you just play in the playoffs. You typically don't play. Who knows, though, with the Giants, you may have 3 teams in there. But
yeah, unfortunately, the issue is we have 25 odd years of no success in postseasons. And so it is easy to go, well, show me something. Well, okay, this is fine. Show me something.
I think if we're being honest, that is how we are,
yeah,
right?
We are. We think that. And that doesn't mean we don't enjoy the journey. And we talked about this beforehand. We're going to enjoy every victory. We're going to, mourn every loss. And we'll kind of look and go, okay, well, they were just the better team this week when they play. But in the back of your mind, you go, okay, can they do something? I don't know. Maybe McCartney's going to have a little something. I know that it was either Kalashaw or David Moore said, for the time being, there's not a lot of talk about, Sean,
Saints coach Sean Payton?
Yeah, Sean Payton coming here right now. All of a sudden, he's kind of McCartney's kind of push that aside.
I will say, very funny. He was on that same interview, and they talked about the Cowboys, and he said that Colin Hurd asked him, "What would you do with Zeke? Because clearly he's the better back."
Yeah.
And he said,
You mean Pollard?
"Yes." How would you talk to Zeke?
Yeah,
or no, sorry. What would you do about Pollard because he's performing better than Zeke, right?
Yeah.
He said you have to have a conversation with it, and you need to be up front and say, "This is what we're seeing." And then he said what was really good is, which made me think, he goes, first of all, you should have already had this done in the offseason of what is your foundation, what are your expectations? Is Zeke supposed to be that bell cow? And Parsons is supposed to be that switch up? How are you
Pollard,
really reviewing them?
Pollard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you really reviewing them?
Right.
And I thought that was very interesting and almost you get it a little bit inside the mind of this 24/7, but also this shouldn't be that hard. We should already have this kind of narrowed out with your expectations.
So my only defense to Mike McCartney
Big Mike.
is any other organization you could have that discussion. And the Cowboys with Jerry, will he let you have that conversation? Will he not no, we don't need to talk. Well, Jerry, I really think we should talk. Let's get Zeke understanding that, this will make his career longer by less wear and tear. We can have Pollard. We can do this, lightning and thunder like you're talking about. No. Okay.
It's almost like you could take him from a star player, and as you get older, you go to the bench for a basketball analogy, right? Zeke, hey, you'll have a guaranteed contract here. We paid you before. Maybe you'll take this role because he is a huge leader, him and Prescott.
Yeah.
In the room.
Yeah, and you're gonna put, we're gonna play. So I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
I mean,
Hello?
I would like to see us trade Zeke. Honestly, I think he still has good value. I think the right team could use him, and because I like him as a player. Like I hope he does great. I hope he's a Cowboy forever. But with what we have right now, I don't think it helps the team this season as much as possibly getting a wide receiver or somebody else for that.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I was going to ask you to, according to people who know better than us, the Cowboys are under the cap. They did not spend the money, and now then it's trade deadline. It seems like you need to do something with that money, and if you can get remember when we traded for Cooper, that was a lightning, that was a little jump start to the season. We don't need a jump start, but I could make the argument you could use another receiver. You could certainly use a better linebacker, for the run stop.
What's really out
offensive
there?
Line seems to be doing okay right now, but
if we're not talking about them in our observations, that means they're doing very well.
Right.
Yeah. Those holes were huge. The ones that TP was running through, he was running through them, and Davis looked tiny, but those were big holes too. I mean, they were opening it up out there against the Bears.
Yeah.
Keep banging this drum as I'm still on my soapbox. Amari Cooper last night, 5 receptions, 131 yards, and a touchdown for a long of 53. And that is, I guess it's not November yet because it was October, but we'll wait till it gets cold. We're going to keep an eye on this story. But that is, again, a very productive. You feel great for him because he loved being in Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's always the cliche, I went to Cleveland. But he's showing out so far.
Well, and I know there was the whole COVID thing, and and there's other things that just, I don't know what was going on, but I always liked him because he seemed to be the anti-wide receiver. The wide receiver that showed up on the field, performed well, and then was kind of, okay, I'm low maintenance. Once again, I never am going to stop apologizing to Tyler Smith because I'm like, this is a horrible pick, and
Mr. Penalty.
The guy has just been everything you could want in a rookie lineman. Is he perfect? No, but no rookie's going to be. In fact, no with the exception of very few veterans, who was the guy that had only had false starts at only
Zach
two
Martin?
Zach Martin, 2 or 3 his whole season.
Yeah.
Career.
Yes.
But short of that, he's done well, and I think he has turned out to be a bright spot. All right, so I'd asked a few minutes before 6-2. What do we think the rest of the season? Where are we going?
I think, well, number one, that the bye week couldn't have came at any other better time.
And it always seems that way, and maybe it's just any time there's a bye week, there you can find a reason why it's a good time. But yeah, I agree with you. This is definitely something we need.
Yeah, because we are now 6-2. We were 6-2 last year. Parsons was a rookie. We can find some similarities. I think hopefully it's a blessing in disguise that you found, okay, maybe we got a backup quarterback in Rush. And then also, wow, we need to give Pollard the football more. Because I don't think we would have seen Pollard had that much use if Zeke wouldn't have actually finally. It's like his second game missing. So he had to be injured too.
So here's the double-edged sword. The more you feature Pollard, the higher his value goes, and the better the chance you're going to lose him after the end of this season.
Ding, ding, ding. I bet that is probably one of the reasons why they're so weird and we can't figure out. It has to be something. That's a great theory. I didn't think about that.
Now,
because he's a free agent after this season.
Right, he is a free agent. So if I'm Pollard's agent, I don't take the Cowboys calls. But if I'm the Cowboys, I'm making a call and saying, "This is our guy. You're part of the Cowboy family. You and Zeke, he and Zeke are a dynamic pair. What can we do to have you stay a Cowboy for the next 3-4 years?"
And they get along well. We saw Zeke. He's going crazy.
Thrilled. I mean, he was thrilled.
And at the end of the day, wrestlers always say this too. Zeke's getting paid a lot of money. So, okay.
Yeah.
For pride, and he's a ball player.
Yeah.
But he's okay. You said that. Like when I was, deep down, Prescott, professionally, he's like, okay, I want to be the best, but nah, I'm okay. I'm good. You pick up the check Tuesday.
Yeah.
You'll be all good. Pollard reminds me of, for all you hardcore historian Cowboy fans, it's almost when Julius Jones from Notre Dame was doing his thing, and as we saw with running backs, after a couple of years, especially the way Cowboys' notorious offense has been, is that if we got somebody good, we run them like DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
You will see a young Marion Barber, R.I.P., come on play, and then in the 2007 game against the Giants, Patrick Crayon dropped it, but they actually started Barber that game, and he ran off that. And then from there, Barber, and it was Felix Jones, right? And Felix was from Arkansas, but Marion was getting paid a lot of money. I just see a lot of similarities based off of the history of the Cowboys. They're as predictable as they are, they're not predictable at all.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to do since we're on our bye week is kind of look at the schedule.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the road, and 1, 2, 3, 4 at home. So that's actually pretty good. I thought it was a little bit more, a little bit of a disparity. So after the bye week, we got McCarthy's homecoming at the Green Bay Packers. First off, I got to take the mic again, too. Just got a lot of hot sports opinions today. Cannot stand the Packers. Have nightmares about Aaron Rodgers. To this day, sports nightmares. But they're just not that good this year if you're just a football fan and take your heart out of it. But with Aaron Rodgers, it's still, I'm nervous. And it's at Green Bay. I don't think we've played for a while there. We played the Packers almost every year, but I don't think we've played them since we had McCarthy. Colin?
That road trip's gonna be tough, even though Green Bay isn't Green Bay of the past decade. They're still gonna be a tough team. Vikings are playing good this year, so going on a road trip to Green Bay and then Minnesota is never easy. especially when it starts to get cold. But after that, minus the Eagles game, schedule's looking kind of light.
Yeah.
Schedule's looking pretty nice the rest of the way. I think, after this road trip, obviously we don't want to look past anybody and play that game. But, Giants are going to be tough. Eagles are going to be tough. Titans are usually tough. And then Washington divisional game. But, Colts and Texans back-to-back, that's a nice 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so for our listening audience, and we're going to do a full preview for the Packers next week, just for you. And we want to hear back from our fans. So let us know what you think from last game. What do you think about the Packers? How much do you hate them? Let us know. And then after that, we go at Minnesota.
All right, well, real quick. Green Bay, win or lose?
Win.
Chris?
W.
Okay. I'm going to say lose. Okay.
Next is
Vikings.
Yes.
Loss.
325.
Chris? Just quick.
W.
Just guts. Okay. I'm going to say win. Okay. Next.
We are then hosting the New York Giants 3:30. That is on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Loss.
Oh, you say a loss? Chris?
Loss.
All right.
I
I'm
never
going
want
to
us
say
to
win.
have a good.
I'm going to say win. I'm going to say have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I hope
Next.
he's right. The Indianapolis Colts are coming into town. I wish Matt Ryan was playing because Colin would go to this game.
Yeah.
Colts at Cowboys.
That's a W.
Okay. Chris?
That's a long layoff as well, too. Typically, it's Thursday to Thursday, but it's Thanksgiving, and then we play actually all the way to Sunday night. That's a win. We should beat the Colts.
Yep, I'm saying win too. Next.
Then we host the Houston Texans
Okay. Colin?
That's
Cowboys.
That's a W.
Okay, Chris?
Put R for route.
Okay. And I'm going to say win too. All right. Colin, what's next?
Next is Colin and I's favorite matchup, 12 o'clock, December 18th, at your Jacksonville Jaggy Jags.
Jaggy Jags. That's
Tony
a W,
Khan.
baby. That's
Alright.
a W in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Chris?
that's a
Alright.
dub. No
All
doubt.
right, got that. Next.
Then
At Eagles, baby.
pretty much the game, potentially the game of the year, definitely the game of the year for the Dallas Cowboys. Round 2 of that heavyweight fight. Eagles, who are right now 7-0, will face your Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Eve.
That's a W.
That's a win. How about you, Chris?
That's a win.
All right, so
Revenge,
here's my
baby.
issue. I have picked the last 5 games to all be win. They'll be going into a 5-game winning streak. But I'm going to say win too. All right, next.
2 games left. We
Okay.
then play our first and only on Prime, Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So we'll get to check out that broadcast, and we'll have our observations post-game. We
Yeah.
are Dallas Cowboys at the Tennessee Titans. Titans are 5-2 right now. Now, who knows what they'll be right now?
Yeah.
I'm going to say they're going to have a hangover after the Cowboys, and I think they're going to win against the Eagles, so I'll say a
Say
W.
loss.
Or
The
loss.
Eagles. Okay,
loss
Chris?
For the Titans.
Colin is onto something. I thought this when I kind of initially thought that's one of those games that they do lose for some reason. Like the Colts a couple years ago when we got Cooper,
Yeah.
and then we just got blown
agree.
out. Shout
I
out to
agree.
Michael Thurwinger.
All right, and our final game.
Dallas Cowboys at the Commanders.
Okay.
That's a W.
W.
Finish it out strong.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a W too. Chris, I assume you're doing a W.
I almost would say just a loss because we probably...
So we lose 2 games.
But
in a
no,
row
the
at end
Eagles
of
are
the
so
season?
good that's a W. No, I was thinking that we wouldn't have players playing.
Mm-hmm.
We would be resting. But I don't know. I think it's
they're
going to
still
come
gonna be
down.
scrapping at that point.
Part of me, I'm going to put a W,
All
but
right.
well, that'll be
So-
unique.
Colin has them going 6-3. You have them 7-2, and I have them 7-2. So we'll go.
So I'm at 12-5 on the year. Y'all are at 13-4.
Yep.
I could
Which
see.
when I say that, I go, God, that's too good. But
That's
Yeah.
ambitious.
But there's always going to be a game that on the books you should have won, and just everything goes wrong.
Yeah, I could see that with Minnesota. And
Yeah.
let's say the Packers find something this week and their record says that they're this, but hey, they're actually finding momentum.
I have no problems with even 11-6.
I
mean, 12-5 would be great. Yeah.
13-4 is ambitious, but I would love to have that Patriots game back. I think if that gets played 10 times, we lose 1 and win 9.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which one? You talking about Tampa?
Yeah.
Gotcha, Tampa Bay. You are correct.
Tom Brady. So
I would
I'm saying
love to
if
play
we would
that.
have had that back, 7-1 right now. I don't think 13 and
Let's
4
think
is
about
looking
this
as
real quick.
ambitious.
Okay, so we are 6-2 right now. Packers, that's up in the air. Vikings, that's up in the air. Giants, that's up in the air. Colts, that should be a win. Texans, that should be a win. Jags, that should be a win. Eagles, that's gonna be a win. And then Washington. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So really 10 because the Eagles, but 10 or 11 right there that you should take care of business. The Colts at home, Texans at home. At Washington, they play very, very well. At Jags, no one's there anyway unless it's a London game.
Yeah.
Shout out to our boy UK Mark.
Good day, man.
Who's going to be in Dallas in February for the Super Bowl?
Excellent.
Yes.
We'll do a Cowboys pregame.
Yes, we will. That could only hope. All right, guys, we're going to call it short since we're doing this on our lunches.
This is very fulfilled.
This is very nice. Very nice.
fulfilled.
Hope the sound's a little better. We upgraded our equipment. We're in an enclosed office, so
Yeah, please let us
those
know
of us
how
who
we
are saying
sound.
that, hey, a little better sound.
Yeah,
Let us know what
Patrick.
you think. All right. You can leave us a voicemail at 469-249-2442, and we will add your comments into the show. You can catch me on Twitter for now at Jesse Jackson DFW. If Elon Musk keeps keep politics out. Keep politics out. Colin
Indeed.
at
Keep hope alive.
Colin is at I don't do social media. And Chris
Want to
is
give
at,
a cheap plug to my boy Garza, Texas BBQ. My man that's our non-sponsor for the day.
All right.
Since we're at lunch, this is not a wheels off lunch like JW's crew does over here. And we got things to do after work. Can't make it a happy hour lunch, but
Yeah.
if you're looking for a gathering, my boy Garza, Texas BBQ, you can look him up online. I do believe he's also on Instagram. And I am at your boy Kayfabe CJ. Again, call the voicemail. We want to hear your thoughts. Give us your opinions on what you think. We will add it to the show.
Absolutely. All right. Colin, Chris, take care. Be good. Everyone, stay safe. And we'll probably record a pregame before the next game. So look for us about next week. Talk to you later. Bye.
Peace. Woo. Later, Jim.
After I had finished editing the episode, I got a last-minute voicemail from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Let's see what we've got.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special impromptu session of It's Always 3rd and 7. I am your, host for the day. Your boy CJ. I'm coming to you live, technically, from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Now, I know you're wondering, what's up with the impromptu film session, Chris? Is there a big trade? Cowboys didn't do anything during the trade deadline. No, I have been on the horn nonstop trying to get a hold of this person. They'll never return my phone calls. The publicist always says this or that. I finally got to nail down this person. Joining me in the film room today, the people's champion, my mother, Jesse Jackson's wife, Linda Jackson. Linda Jackson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, CJ. Cowboys, Cowboys, Cowboys.
Yes, that is why we're here. We are here
Exactly.
to talk some Cowboys. Now, I know you listeners are tired of hearing, especially Colin's voice. JW's pretty good, and CJ, sweet stats, bro. So we wanted to bring in the expert. So I thought, hey, LJ, why not get on the horn? Tell us how you really feel about the Cowboys. And so why not just go ahead and have this little impromptu session? Jay, do you want to go ahead and let the listeners know kind of what we're doing?
Sure. I am a follower of the Dallas Cowboys because my son and my husband are stuck at the TV every week. I have learned more about the Cowboys in the last 3 or 4 years because of their thoughtful guidance. Yes, and I've just got a few things that he would like to hear from somebody who's not really a fan and somebody who doesn't really watch much of the game. Just what are my thoughts?
Or what are some of the reasons why you actually keep up with the Cowboys with Dad and I?
Well, because of you two are very interested and care about the Cowboys. The last 5 years or so, I've really started to care and watch at least the first half or 3/4 of the time. This past year, I've watched almost every single.
I'm so glad you brought that up because peek behind the curtain. If it's a 12 o'clock game, you can expect LJ all 4 quarters. If it's a 3 o'clock game and she's got to get up in the morning, maybe first 3. If it's a Sunday night game or a Monday night game,
I'm out.
See?
I'm out.
She's out.
Out.
Unless we make her. Okay, so funny story. Last year for the playoff game, the Dallas Cowboys played the San Francisco 49ers. As we all know, was not a pretty game. Cowboys were just getting beaten up and down the field. And so at halftime, we kind of all scattered for a little bit, either clean the kitchen, get something to eat. Chris Jackson goes outside and has to take a walk. LJ is like, she looked over to me though, and she's like, "Hey, CJ." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, Mom? Do you mind if I go to bed?" "Yeah, no, that's it." And she's like, "I can't take this shit. I just can't take this stuff." And I remember my dad and I were just rolling because one of the things that I respect about Mom is if they're playing really bad, especially sloppy football, like penalties, when you see kind of their effort.
Yeah.
Mom's quick to be like, "Why are you guys, why not? I'm out."
Yeah. I think, to me, penalties are unacceptable. I've been wearing a shirt this past year, and it's probably not applicable anymore, but I wear a shirt that's got Bailey number 5 on it.
Now,
because for the longest time, Bailey was the only one making any scores on the team. That's not true now, but
it is kind of true in a way, though. So what she means is that the Cowboys would get down in the red zone. They'd have a 7 or 8 play drive. Nothing more infuriating to LJ than they would get all the way down there to about the 20, the red zone, and then they would stall out, and then they'd have to kick a field goal. And so that's why Dad and I bought her a Bailey jersey, and then he got traded or released a couple years later. But we told her to wear it because very funny line that, well, the kicker's the only one making any points.
Now, again, that's not true this season or last season, but I still wear it just in case.
Well, and also, too, no, except for the last game, doesn't look like anybody's making any points with the Cowboys.
That's true, Siege.
So you didn't get to see the last game.
I did not. We were traveling for a family event.
Tell me about Dad in the store. He was wearing a Cowboys T-shirt.
So we had an unfortunate stop about an hour or 2 hours from Dallas. We were in Sulphur Springs and we blew a tire.
Yeah, because you guys were on the way to meet Colin and I to watch the game.
We were going to watch the game with CJ, and we were like, we'll be there by 3, but JW and I were figuring that we're going to be there by 1:30. He's going to love it. The kids will care. And so then we ended up 2.5 hours late getting there. And so we called the boys and said, start watching the game because we don't know when we're going to get there. But so we had to stop. We got towed. It took an hour. Then it took another hour for them to fix our...
Hey, shout out to CoachNet, though. They put on a really good customer program.
CoachNet did everything they're supposed to do. This is the company my husband works for. And I've always heard these kind of horror stories here and there. And they were all about getting taken care of. Within 2.5 hours, we had a new tire.
Okay, so y'all go while you're waiting to get the tire fixed. Mm-hmm. JW, it's Cowboys.
Jesse's wearing a Cowboys hat. He's wearing a Cowboys shirt. Two people come in. One guy at the very beginning of our experience said, "Man, look at the Cowboys. They won by 20 points." And then
spoiler.
Yeah, and then now CJ turns his phone off when the game starts if we're going to be a little bit late.
Yeah.
And so Jess would have, and then somebody else said, "Man, I can't believe how good the Cowboys did." We were actually in Walmart. He just said, "Okay, we're not going to tell CJ and Colin anything. We're not going to do that."
You know, when y'all came home, I could kind of tell, not really, y'all seemed so tired because it was a great trip. Mm-hmm. And then there's nothing worse than you put yourself in a position to make plays and then something unforeseen happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of a drive killer.
So they had to watch the game by themselves. I came in completely quickly, took a shower and said, "I'm done." Just watched the last third and fourth quarter with the kids.
Yep.
I already knew that it was going to be a blowout. It was everything I had to take. Hey, CJ, just forward to the end. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I take that very seriously. Like, I would have been outside or something. Like, I wouldn't have put
You turn off your phone.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, if it was dad, like, if I was in dad's situation,
yeah,
I would not. Yeah, I would be outside or doing anything to not talk to anybody.
Right, yeah.
Put in headphones if I had them.
Right.
Put a shield over my eyes and just...
And it's funny because Chris is so paranoid about knowing anything if we go a game late, which we usually do for happy hour and starting dinner and all that.
Talk to the fans about a little bit about the Jackson Cowboy tradition.
Well,
what are some of our... Yeah.
CJ's got a huge flag he puts out front. He has another huge flag he puts in our dining room or our den, and then he has all kinds of cool stuff like jersey, or he'll have some socks, or he has a ton of stuff. And every single week we got to play. Let's get ready to rumble.
We got a job to do, and we're gonna do it, baby. And Emmitt Smith, what's your favorite? The
Cowboys are on the mountaintop now.
There it is.
So we have these rituals that we do, and so it's fun, and we've been doing them since he was a little kid.
That's what we said on the last episode. I cannot remember the game not being on. Like, Mom, you'd go to the grocery store or go run an errand or whatever. I would go outside and play with my friends in Irving. Come back in, and the game was always on.
And when he was heartbroken because they lost, I don't remember what game it was.
Which one, right?
Right, yeah, the playoff game. And he was so upset, he started crying. He came in the house, and I remember.
Pointing
my finger. This is your fault. Dallas Cowboys.
1994. I was 5 years old. I don't actually remember this, but I do. It's almost like I do because I've heard this story so many times. The Cowboys had just went back-to-back Super Bowls, and Jimmy and Jerry cannot wait to read or listen to that book, Swagger, coming out by Jimmy Johnson. They parted ways after back-to-back championships, and in 94, the Cowboys made it to the NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers. And they wore the, as Mom called them, the butt-ugly jerseys. I still call them that to this day.
Oh, yeah.
I know some of our listeners say that is the jinx as to why we lost that game.
Could be. It's an ugly jersey.
But growing up, this is how Boston, New England Patriot fans are now. Growing up, little punks that they are, growing up, they never saw the Cowboys lose. And so I don't remember this. I wish I did. But yes, the story is that the Cowboys lost, unfortunately. They went down 21-0, fought all the way back. There was a very, very controversial pass interference play with Dion and Michael Irvin.
I can't believe you remember that. Notch in your brain.
And the Cowboys ended up not being able to get the opportunity to three-peat. And so because I was a punk, spoiled Cowboys fan, I started crying. And, Mom, insert Mom saying, "What's the difference now?" Except we just don't go that often. But yeah, my mom then, better turn back in the day. This is your fault, Jesse!
It was, because why is my baby crying over something stupid like this? Because the reason I follow football is because of Chris and Jess spend time with them. That back there made me very angry because I wasn't involved at all, and then my baby got upset.
How long ago was that now?
Oh, he rolled
20-something years?
33, so yeah, I mean...
Good math. We need a calculator for
that. I know,
that.
we do need that. That's right.
All right, so last question. I know you didn't see the game last week.
I did not.
But what are your overall thoughts for the season? We're 6-2. We are going into our bye week. What are your thoughts on the season this year and then moving forward? Do you think we'll make the playoffs? And then do you think finally that because one of the things that my dad and I, we hope for, and this is so sad, but it's so true, is that we just want an NFC Championship game appearance. Not even a win, just an appearance. That means we either won one playoff game because we had a bye week, or we won two because we were a wild card. If we could get to that, I don't even know what that life would look like.
And so I feel bad because he's never had that kind of a year.
When I was a little kid and the Cowboys would make it to the Super Bowl, my parents, very honest, made a very honest living, but they were living
broke as hell.
And so, but if it was Cowboys in the Super Bowl, LJ got all of her cleaning materials. CJ
Just got what sports he got, whatever snacks he wanted, whatever we wanted that we could not buy. It didn't matter how we're going to pay for it. It's a Super Bowl game.
So, do you think I'm not talking about Super Bowl.
Sure.
But do you think the Cowboys will continue to...
Yes, I do. My thing is that I think that our quarterback, when he's not hurt, is great. Tony Pollard, oh my God, he's amazing.
Yep. TP, our defense.
Yeah.
And then the guy, Parsons.
Yeah, Parsons, oh my God. They look way more disciplined than in past years. They look like that they don't give up at the end like they used to.
LJ is the one who pointed out, like, man, they're really swarming to the ball. Like, yeah, they made a pass and they caught it, but, man, he's not able to advance really that far. We're swarming him and we're getting him immediately.
No, I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, I remember games of even last year or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. They could go by 27 Cowboys and not get knocked down. And now, if they catch the ball, they're down immediately. And that gives me hope is that, when they have the ball, the Cowboys are still controlling it.
At the end of the day, LJ doesn't really care that they win. However, she cares because the boys care.
The boys care, yeah. I mean, and on the other thing that on Cowboy Sunday, I did not answer the question. It's going to be the best food you've ever had in the whole past of the year, and so I care about.
What are
that.
some of your favorite dishes that JW does?
Well, so JW, we and I did a big breakfast a couple weeks ago. That was fabulous, and then we Jess did. This is all Jess. He got some wing mix and he put his own wings together and fried them in a little deep fryer. I mean, that's the best.
He breaded them themselves,
right? And
we took out the shout out to Mimi, the turkey fryer.
Yeah,
and he made homemade Hooters wings, and it was just like it.
I mean, and during the winter he makes gumbo, chili, spaghetti, and so every Sunday is going to be the best. That's the best food season for me.
I told him he needs to get that roast going.
Mm-hmm. He will.
Because he brought out the crock pot for that jambalaya because he was going to take it in. I'm like, oh, you doing something on the crock pot this week? He's like, no. I'm like, no.
Okay, well, maybe I'll just remind you of a few things.
Oldie, when if you're listening, I don't know why he wouldn't be.
I know.
Make sure you sear that roast on both sides, okay?
That's right. Get up a little 10 minutes early.
Get up a little 10 minutes early, okay? I'll even get up with you. All right. Hey, this has been so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this as well. Again, we're in Lake Charles visiting some family. We want to give a huge shout out to Frosty Factory for non-sponsoring our podcast. I know JW will make sure and include them on the release of this episode.
It's been a privilege
and a pleasure.
Yes.
It's been a privilege and a pleasure to be speaking with you all today. LJ, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Baby, I enjoyed it. I mean, anything you need, I got you.
Hey, thank you so much, listeners. Remember, it's always 3rd and 7, and it's never a bad time to talk.
Cowboys, Cowboys, Cowboys.
What's up, Junes? All right, y'all take it easy.
Thank you very much. We did it our way, baby. We did it. We did it. We did it.
But it's been a pleasure. I guess that's the Frosty Factory. A pleverage.